Hello everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. Today I'm going to be giving a little bit of a reading update of some of the books I've been reading in this month of December. Stay tuned. Okay everyone, so today is just going to be two books that I'm going to talk about in a little bit of detail. It's a 4-star and a 5-star book for me. There have been other books that I've read in the meantime, and I'm kind of going all out as a result of this. But yeah, let me talk about these books quickly. The first one being Mexican Gothic. Now I just want to very briefly read to you what Goodreads says about this. Just a bit of the blurb. It says, after receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin begging for someone to save her from a mysterious doom. Apparently this mysterious doom is that her cousin's husband, this Englishman, British guy, is trying to poison her. Okay? Naomi heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside. Now, I enjoyed this book a hell of a lot more than I thought I would. I gave it 4 stars, so let's just go through it quickly. First of all, the characters. The characters are so well realized, they're so interesting. The villains, if you want to call them villains, this particular family in High Place, where she moves there to try and investigate what's happening to her cousin, they are suitably creepy and they are suitably scary, and you don't trust them right from the beginning, but really interesting characters. Now Naomi, what an awesome character. Our main protagonist, she is a socialite and she basically lives in Mexico, living it up, never staying in one place, doing what the hell she wants, wearing a lipstick, going to parties, and now suddenly she finds herself in this high place, which is way up, separated from this little town, and it's incredibly gothic and it's decrepit, and a place that used to have a lot of money. You think that a character that is a socialite would be annoying, would be cringeworthy, but no, the writing is superb. She's strong, she's courageous, she's plucky, and she basically is the character that I really enjoyed because she's such a strong female character in this story. Then you have the setting, and as I said, High Place, there's just there's just a wrong feel about it. This is a Gothic story and it's just such a Gothic setting. And the family are just creepy, and this place is like run down. It used to be rich, it was a mining family, used to be a lot of money, and there's all sorts of stories about the history of this family and people in the mines dying from a strange disease or illness or whatever. I'm not going to go into any detail, but it is such an incredible Gothic setting that I really enjoyed. And she writes so beautifully, really, she's got a way with words. Look, the first half of the story, I think this is the reason that it was a 4-star for me, not a 5-star. The first half of the story, the first even 2/3 of the story, sometimes it's slow going. It is a slow burn. It's a bit of a drag. But she does do a good story. She does do a good job in creating this Gothic feel and this Gothic setting and the characters and going into the background and the history, and almost creating a sense of unease. It's unsettling, and you're on her side, and it's like she's trapped. And then in the final third, it takes a very weird turn, which I was there for. It was freaking awesome. It goes to some very strange places. It gets pretty damn exciting, and at the end it gets kind of quite hectic as well, quite terrifying. I really enjoyed it. We got this Lovecraftian feel about it. But man, it gets so weird about this family this family is all about. So yeah, it comes from me, highly recommended. I really enjoyed it, considering that I don't enjoy a lot of Gothic tales as much as some people. My top 10, and I'm sorry I'm giving away something here, but one of my top 10 is We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which was an absolutely amazing Gothic tale. This is not quite there for me, but it was still a brilliant read and highly, highly recommended. Okay, the second book I'm going to talk about is The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. Now, this took me completely by surprise. I absolutely devoured and loved this story. Read it in one sitting. Yes, it's very short, but it was so powerful. Let me just first read what Goodreads has to say about this story. Two friends are midway on a canoe trip down the Danube River. Now, just to point out, these two friends are experienced canoeists. They have been together, they are tight, they've been through a lot of sort of troubled things in the past, so I just need to make that clear, because the characters are not that well developed, but that's what you need to know about them, and there's a few other things that's added on about the one character. Okay, anyway, throughout the story, Blackwood personifies the surrounding environment, the river, sun, wind, and imbues them with a powerful and ultimately threatening character. Most ominous are the dense, menacing willows, which moved of their own will as though they were alive. Now, I've got a background in terms of I love the African bush. From a young child, when I was a teacher, even when I was a student, my holidays were spent in the bush, often alone. I'd be camping. I would spend weeks before I went home to see my family, going to the most remote places, setting up a tent, lighting a fire, and I absolutely lived for the wilderness. I love the wild. And then after I finished teaching, I became a field guide. I spent like a year as a guide, a little bit longer, and I trained, and it was just, that was a big part of my life when I was younger. And for me, there's nothing like the wilderness, nothing like being out there in the elements, nothing like being there when the sun is setting and it starts darkening in Africa, and this could be anywhere in the world. And the sun is setting and you light this big fire and you stare into the fire, and it's mesmerizing, it's hypnotic. And you start seeing, as the wood, I go with wood, not charcoal, sorry. You start seeing the wood dropping in as the fire is burning and it's getting hotter, and it starts taking different shapes. And you start using your imagination, and you start hearing things, and you start noticing sounds out there in the darkness, and you start, this book hit all the right notes for me. The things that happen in this book to these two men, from when they find themselves on this little sandy island and the water's coming up and taking away, and there's heavy wind, and they feel like the willows are these creatures that are coming closer to them, and they see things, and when the fire burns down, and then they go in their tents and they can't sleep and their minds are working, and it was terrifying for me. Obviously there is a lot more to it than that. There's almost this kind of otherworldly, kind of Lovecraftian thing about it. But I was all in for it. It was short, I read it in one sitting, and it was an immediate 5-star for me. Mainly because I have an affinity with the wilderness. And I know I promised you guys that I would be doing a series or a video. I think I'm going to make it a little bit of a series, maybe on my off day with horror, of my experience in the wild, and maybe I'll do some slideshows and I'll show you some pictures and tell you what it's all been about. But that we're going to get there, don't worry. And I know Farry, you're watching. I will do it, I promise, I'll do it. Yeah, but this book was just an instant 5 stars for me. It touched me in a place in the wild with these two men going through terrifying stuff. And this book and the previous one, I think it was called The Wendigo, proved to me that you do not need to rely on blood and guts and gore to write a very scary, terrifying tale. A lot of these older writers, this is an older story, it really creeped me out and it really touched me. As I say, it ticked all the right boxes, and so I give it a very well-deserved 5-star. And very probably a place on my top 10 list for books that I've read so far in 2023. Okay, and before I finish off with The Willows, just one final thing. It says in Goodreads that H.P. Lovecraft considered this book, The Willows, to be the finest supernatural tale in English literature. And I would, as I said on my Goodreads review, go and check that out. This is high praise indeed. I said that this tale very easily goes head to head with Lovecraft's finest. This tale blew me away. So yeah, as I said, well deserved 5-star for me. Okay everyone, so that's my sweet and short 2 reviews for 2 books I've read so far this month. Yeah, I've read a couple more. I'm still busy on a couple. I'm going to let you know about all of that next week. There's other stuff that I'm doing. It's sort of busy in December. But yeah, I'll get back to you soon about all of that. Please comment down below if you read either of these stories. I know Mexican Gothic is spoken about often on booktube. Have you read either of these stories? What did you think? If you enjoy my channel, please be sure to like and subscribe and give me a thumbs up. It really helps. And take care of yourselves. Keep those pages turning, and cheers.